Hi, I'm Jess, your Down to Earth Oracle, and thank you so much for joining me here. This is going to be your February Tarot Tidbit, and we're going to talk about what makes a good tarot reading. Now, whether that's with me, with somebody else, I feel like you should really know what makes a really good tarot reading. Because, when you think of a tarot reading, you think of this mysterious woman, right, who's reading these cards, and often people go like, whoa, I don't know what she's meaning, she's really vague, and there you go with stereotypes that it's female. Throw it out the window, right? So I want to talk about a couple of things. So one of the things that defines a really good tarot reading is it should be a conversation. You should be able to ask questions. The tarot reader should be able to ask you questions and say, hey, tell me what's going on. Like, it shouldn't be just, they should just automatically know what's going on. Like, that can happen, but as a reader myself, like, it helps me to have some context. So I'm going to ask you to have some questions ready, or tell me your story, and we can find out what's going on together if you're not sure. But you should be able to have a conversation about what's going on. Why you're coming to a tarot reader. The ability to ask questions, like when cards come out and or something that is said, like if you have confusion about what's being said, like say something is super vague, like a woman will be mysteriously coming into your life, and you can be like, hey, what does that even mean? And you may not like the answer. Sometimes the answer is, I don't know what that means. That's just what I'm being given. But you should have the ability to be able to ask that question. That's what makes a good reading. There should be clarity. Sometimes, again, it goes along that lines of, like sometimes I get strange messages that they're random words or song bits and pieces. And it just could be things that, well, just hold on to that. Hold on to that. Might make sense to you later. Might make sense to you now. Might never make sense to you. It's just kind of how it rolls sometimes. But you should be able to walk out of the session with some sort of clarity to the issue that you're having, that you're bringing forward to the reader. Also, like if a card pops up and, say for example, like the death card comes up, and you have concerns about that. Does that mean somebody's going to die? Does that mean, there's going to be big changes? Those kind of anxieties. You should be able to get clarity and comfort from the tarot reader about those things. These are all parts that make a good reading and with a good reader. So there should also, like the biggest thing about what makes a really good tarot reading is there should be depth to the reading. Now this doesn't mean that there are always multiple decks, or that there are oracle cards, or there's crystals, or there's candles, or all those things, right? But there should be depth to the meaning, to the reading itself. So what that means is that a lot of the times, like, it's that idea of like when you're reading your favorite book, right? And you come back to it a couple years later and you've got a new perspective on the story, right? And it kind of opens your eyes to how the author has constructed a scenario, a scene. You learn from a different perspective because you've gotten older. Say there's a scenario between a mother and a child, and when you first read the book, you really identify with the child, but as you've gotten older, you suddenly identify with the mother because you understand the different perspectives. It's the same thing with a tarot reading, right? You can come back to it a little bit later and learn a different perspective, a different angle from the reading, from things that are being said. Though that makes that depth, can really make a good reading. That's not all the time though, but those are the gem ones. It's one of the reasons why I like to record my readings, because you can come back to them later as a client and be like, oh gosh, she said this thing, and at that time I took it as this way with this situation, but when I come back to it, I can now understand it as something completely different, and it brings a whole another layer to the tapestry that was woven in the conversation with the clarity and the asking questions and understanding. So I hope this helps you understand what a good tarot reading is, combined with the other tarot tidbits I have been giving you on the monthly things. So everything from the history of tarot, with understanding how time works, with now how tarot spreads work, and now with just this general idea of what kind of should be constructing a good tarot reading versus maybe a not so good one. And don't get me wrong, even tarot readers have their moments where, yeah, that might not have been such a great reading. If the client walks away and says like, yeah, that makes no sense, I don't understand it, a good tarot reader will say, hey, come back and see me in a couple weeks and we'll take a look at this again. It's customer service, Basics 101. So thank you so much for joining me here, and I will see you soon.